What's poppin', people? It's Dante, currently going for my morning walk here in Fairmount Park, Philadelphia, catching the sunrise. And yeah, there's this sculpture of Goethe. This morning I was doing some research, and apparently this title of Alex Webb's The Suffering of Light was inspired by some line from Goethe. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, just snapshot your way through life. Set the snap focus to infinity, P mode. Point and shoot, man. And so yeah, I'm just thinking today about the marination of street photography, the marination process, detaching yourself from the photographs, and how I go about this. So for the past 2 years, I've been completely detached from the past work that I've been making over the years, and this has been a really important and necessary part of the process. And the marination process is essentially allowing your photographs to sit on your hard drive, allowing the prints to stack up, and you kind of look the other way and you don't think about them, you don't worry about them, you don't process anything, you don't really think about the photos or go into detail with each individual single image and understand what they mean yet. You kind of just sit on it, you separate yourself from it, and then you go back and you look through them. And so I've decided to go hardcore with my marination process. And essentially I've taken the past 2 years off from looking at my work. And so what I'm going to now do during the winter is actually start studying my own photography, looking at the work and understanding what it all means. And I think that this process of detaching yourself from the photos is really critical when it comes to sequencing photos and presenting the photos and picking the photos more specifically that are the standalone sort of keeper shot. This is something that is important for photographers to realize, because when you're photographing and you're coming home and you're culling through the photos and you think you got something, it may not be that great. You know, the photo that you just made might have some sentimental value. You know, you might be attached to it emotionally. There's something about the moment specifically that you resonate with on a personal level, and that's normal, you know, that's human nature. But when you take a step back and you allow the photos to marinate for a year or two, I think only then can you truly go in and observe them from an objective lens that is necessary and critical when it comes to the editing process of culling and selecting your keeper shots. So it's just a really simple message today to allow yourself a period of detachment from the photographs before going through and editing the photographs. I think you have to think with a long-term horizon, you know, not thinking about the immediate pleasure of picking a keeper photo, but essentially detaching and allowing yourself a few months, a year, 2 years, like I'm doing, to then go back and to pick, you know, your best photographs and to sequence your photographs and to present your photographs. You know, it's a really slow and gradual process, photography, and I think it's important to recognize that. You know, it takes a lot of time, not only to make the body of work and to actually produce the photographs, but to go through and cull the photographs is a completely different thing. And I'm going to share my journey as I go through it and hopefully share some tips along the way and what I learned through this process. But essentially, when you're out there in the world photographing, just stay in the mode of production. Give yourself some time before making selections. And I'm honestly, personally, like, I think a really good bit of advice is to not allow the photos to stack up, right? So for me, like, I would seriously consider with consistency going through picking the photos that I think are somewhat keepable or somewhat good, whatever, right away that same day, just so that I can at least not have a headache in the future, right? So for instance, the past 2 years I've been shooting hundreds of thousands of photos, and every single day I'll cull through them and I'll make favorite selections and back those up. And now I only have around, I don't know, 9,000 photos around about to go through, which is a significant less amount than the hundreds of thousands. And so I'm just really glad that I made sure to every single day go through and make simple and quick selections that are at least gonna help me in the long run, if that makes sense. You can do it even more hardcore and allow the hundreds of thousands or thousands of photos to stack up and then finally go through them, but yeah, I don't recommend that. It's just more of a headache. But yeah, just some thoughts about marination. No, just let the photos sit, go through them, maybe a year after you've made the work. Yeah, just spend years and years working on the photos and then essentially pick the best ones later. It's really slow and long process.